So next we will be discussing the slope deflection method. So this is basically a displacement method. Okay. So the slope deflection method, it is coming under the displacement method of analysis. It is mainly used for analysis of you can say continuous beam and building frame, which is rigid jointed portal frame. And you know the unknowns are displacement. The slope and deflection is going to be the unknowns. That is why this method is known as slope deflection method. Okay. The unknowns are degree of freedom, which is slope and deflection. Mainly in your beam and frame, the unknowns will be, or degree of freedom is going to be slope and deflection. So we are solving unknown displacement first, which is slope and deflection. That is why we will be calling it is slope deflection method. So this method is, I will just give a brief idea about this method. So this method is, I can say, it is proposed by, this is a person, this proposed by G.S. Mann. That is a person behind this method in 1950. Okay, and so this is ideally suited for analysis of continuous beam and rigid jointed frames. So also I told you the slope deflection method, that is the this method we will be discussing some equation will be there, we will be solving those equations, and then we'll be able to get all our unknowns. But this method, so this method we can develop in the form of matrix form, and so which was the basics of your stiffness matrix method. The stiffness matrix method, that is a displacement method of analysis. It is a matrix method, okay? And that was really the basis for the finite element method, which is a very famous method. FEM will be calling, and that is a really FEM, the concept we are using in all the softwares, okay, which is using for analysis of the real structures. Everything, all the softwares are based on FEM. Okay, so, but all this, the concept is coming from the, you can say, the displacement method, soft depression method, everything. Okay, and before discussing the method, we will see, if you see any method or any derivation. First, we used to see some assumptions. Okay, we used to see what are the assumptions used in this method. Okay, this is useful for continuous beam and frames. Okay, okay. So we will see the assumptions. What are the assumptions used in this method? So we have to understand the assumptions. And the first assumption is all the joints are rigid. Okay, we will be assuming all joints are rigid. All joints are rigid. Okay, that is the first assumption. The rigid joint means, this is the meaning. Suppose you have a maybe a truss, part of a truss. We have a joint here, and two members, one beam and one column is joining, and so now we are applying some load in the structure. Once we have the load, there will be some deformations in the structure. So it may deform like this. It may deform like this. So this is a beam, and your column also will deform, maybe like this. But the rigid joints mean, the real meaning is, before deformation we had angle 90 degree between beam and column, but even after deformation this angle will not change. This angle will remain same as it before. It will able to maintain the angle between the members at that joints. So before deformation, the 90 degree two perpendicular members, and even after the deformation, angle between two members will not change. So then again, I can say, in other words, I can say, if you see this rotation happen to this beam, let us take theta, and rotation happen to this column. The rotation happen to this column will be this much angle, right? So both will be same. Okay, this theta in the beam and rotation to the columns, both are going to be same. Okay, both are same. That is why this angle also is 90. It is rotating some angle. Beam is going from here to here, and same column also going from here to here, same angle. That is why this the included angle, you can say that angle is going to be remains as 90 degree. The angle between members meeting at the same joint does not change, okay, even after deformation due to loading. That is the meaning of the rigid joints. So I think I can show one more slide. What is the difference between rigid joint and pin joint? How it will be different? Okay, how it will be different? You can see two cases. So here this joint is, you can say this joint is the rigid joint. Okay, yeah, we have a frame like this, and I am applying some load here, and it is going to deform. There is some displacement at this column top, but before this we have 90-degree angle, and even after deformation your beam is deflected like this, a column is here, but this angle is able this will be maintained as 90 degree. So whatever is a slope in the column, sorry, beam, and whatever is a rotation in the column, both will be same. This theta and this theta is going to be same. That is the meaning of the rigid joint connection. This connection is in other words we can say two members are rigidly connected. Okay, that means whatever is the deformation happening to the one member, same deformation, rotation or translation, this beam is moving this much length, column also moving this much length, translation is going to be same, also the rotational deformation also will be same, because two members are rigidly connected. The rigid connection means we can say that it will behave as a one member. Okay, there won't be any relative movement of any member. Okay, and but if I take this joint as pin joint like a truss, it is a pin joint, and I am applying same load like this, and what will be the difference? And if it is a pin joint, I am applying the load only to the column. So whatever is the load on the column, of course, because the joint mean two members are connected together, but it is a pin joint. It is a pin joint. It has to deform. There will be some displacement. The displacement must be same. In beam, it is moving this much length. Column top also moving this much length. The translation displacement will be same if you have a pin joint, like in the case of the rigid joint. But when you come to the rotational movement, only this column will be having some rotation this much, and beam will remains undeflected. Okay, that means there is no moment, in the moment will not transfer from the beam to column, because in this beam, sorry, from column to beam, in this beam there is no load, so bending moment will be 0. That means there is no bending at all in the beam. That is why it is remaining straight. But this is a rigid joint. Even though I don't have any loading in the beam, I am loading only at the column, still there is some bending moment in the beam. That is why your beam is bending. That is why beam is okay, beam is bending like this. Okay, so it may go like this. So even though there is a direct load acting in the beam, load due to the column, whatever load acting in the column will have, okay, some effect in the beam. It will bend your beam. That means there will be some moment in the beam. So both there will be there won't be any relative rotation as well as relative translation for a rigid joint. But when you come to a pin joint, there will not be any relative translation, but there will be relative rotation. Okay, column is rotating, but beam is not rotating. Okay, that is the correct. So that is the meaning of the rigid joint or pin joint. Okay. So we'll come back to our slide here. Okay. So in this method, the first assumption will be your joints are rigidly connected. Joints are rigid. Okay, I think you understood what is rigid joint. And second one is axial deformations are neglected. Second assumption, axial deformations are. So axial deformations are neglected. So that means suppose we have a let us say we have a frame. So we have a frame, and due to some loading it is deforming. Okay, it is deforming. Maybe there is some horizontal load acting in the frame. Okay, so it is deforming like this. So it is moving like this, and okay, let us say this is So that means if you see this column top, there is some displacement, horizontal displacement or translation delta 1, and here in this column top also we have some translation delta 2. This all we discussed already in, you must be knowing, in the degree of freedom, kinematic indeterminacy calculation. So if in this assumption is saying axial deformations are neglected, that means if you see if you apply this condition to the beam, what you will get? You will get delta 1 equal to delta 2. So this condition will be applying throughout all the methods. We will not consider the degree of freedom with axial deformation. We will be considering only degree of freedom without axial deformation, because if you see any beam or frame kind of structure, the deformation due to these axial forces are very less, because there is no axial force acting like truss we have axial force. Axial deformation we cannot neglect, but when you come to the building frame or column, sorry, beam or frame, the deformation due to axial force is you can neglect. So if you neglect, you will be getting advantage. You will be getting what advantage you will be getting? You will be getting the degree of freedom. Unknown displacement will be very much less. I think you remember the assignment question. We had a portal frame like this. I think 3 by 4 story frame with axial deformation. You got a degree of freedom was 48, I think, and without axial deformation, once you apply this condition, your unknowns will be reduced from 48 to 20. So unknowns will be instead of 48 you have to solve only 20 unknowns, so you will be getting a lot of advantage from computation point of view. While solving you will be getting advantage because of this assumption, and this assumption also valid. Why it is valid? There is no axial force in the member, so axial deformation you can take it as 0. Actually it won't be 0, there will be some changes, like you will be getting this is maybe 50.12, this may be 50.13 or some like that. There will be some small difference, so that small difference you can neglect, and if you neglect that small difference you will be getting advantage while solving the problem. If you are keeping that small difference, you will not, you will find your problem will be much complicated. Okay, that is why this assumption is valid. We are not blindly taking the assumption. This assumption is valid also in case of beam and frame. A third assumption also similar. We will also neglect shear deformation. Okay. This is already we are neglecting everywhere. Shear deformation, except shaft and roll. The shear deformations are neglected. So that is your third assumption. Again I can say the same, the logic is same. The deformation due to shear also will be very negligible. The structures like beam and frame, only we will be considering, what we will consider then? We will consider only the deformation. So we will consider only the deformations due to flexure. So only deformation due to flexure or bending is considered. Okay. Only the effect of bending we are considering throughout. The deformation due to shear and axial deformation we can neglect. So that is the basic assumption we are keeping in all the methods. Okay, slope deflection method, these are the assumptions. So then in slope deflection method we are going to we are going to establish a relationship between the degree of freedom and member n moments. Okay, member n moments and degree of freedom. We'll form some equation, and that equation we will be making in the equilibrium equation. Equilibrium equation you must be remembering, at joints all the moment should be 0. You will be taking all the moment terms, you will equate to 0, but that we can form a we can develop an equation. We can develop an equation between these n moments and slope and deflection, so that you can replace the slope momentum in moment you can write in terms of the slope and deflection, so that you can get the equation in terms of displacement. Okay, so we are going to do that is the next step. So we will develop, the assumptions are over. So what we are going to do, the first step in the slope deflection method, we are going to develop a relation between this one. Okay, relation between degree of freedom, that is slope and deflection, and n moments. So this is also we will derive, the derivation is simple. Okay. So we will derive this equation, relation between the slope and deflection and moment, and that equation will be known as slope deflection equation. Okay. So now we will go to the derivation, the slope deflection equation. So we will derive it, slope deflection slope deflection equation. And derivation. So how will you derive it? You will use the principle of superposition. Okay. So that is what we are going to do next. Okay. So I will take a to derive it. I will take a four span continuous beam. I think same beam I am going to take. So I am going to take a four span continuous beam like this. So we have a so one roller support here, one here, one here, and one here. So we have some loading, arbitrary loading I am keeping, and here we have some loading. Okay, and here also we have some loading. And okay, so I'm okay, just for derivation I'm going to take only one span. Okay, I'll explain that. So I'm giving the name like this. This is AB. Okay, AB, and maybe I will call other points C, D, and E. Okay. So this is your beam. We have a continuous beam with some loading. Okay, for this beam we know the static indeterminacy will be 4, and also we have the kinematic indeterminacy will be 4. So rotation at D, A, B, and E. Okay. So due to some loading, I will consider only the span AB. Okay, I am going to consider only span AB to derive the relation, to derive the slope deflection equation. The slope deflection equation is nothing but the relation between maybe you can write relation between end moments and displacement, end moments and the degree of freedom. That is a relation we are going to derive. Okay. So to derive that equation, I am going to consider only the span AB. I am going to take only this span. Okay. So due to some loading, your span AB is going to undergo some deformation, right? Because of this loading, there will be some deformation. So the deformed shape I will be drawing. So I will draw like this. So before loading, it was the position. It was perfectly straight. There was no bending. It was the position of your beam, continuous beam, and due to this loading, your beam is going to beam. Okay, this span AB going to deform. Maybe here we had a support. Okay, this here we had a support. Okay, and so I will draw like this. Then I will explain. Okay, then I will explain why I have considered like that. Okay. So this is a deformation going to have in this span AB. So this is going to bend maybe this point. Okay, this point B I am taking here. Okay, just for larger drawing, your B is here. Okay, B is here. You support B I am drawing here. So what I have considered, this is the deformed shape of initial position was here. Your A, you can say this point was A. This point was A, and this was the initial position. He had the support B, and here due to some loading, due to some loading, your beam has deformed like this. So what was the deformation happened at point B? This support has some downward movement. Means your support has settled. There is some settlement at support B. So this support point B point has moved from here to here. There is some settlement at the support. The settlement is delta. Okay. And in this figure, what deformation you can see? You can also see that at this support A, there is some rotation. There is some rotation happen at support A. And similarly, at this point, support B, this is your support B in the deformed shape. And also at support B also we have some rotation. How to draw the rotation? Draw the tangent at that point in the elastic curve. It is a elastic curve, deformed shape. Draw the tangent, draw the horizontal. Okay, and you start from horizontal, go to the tangent. We have some clockwise rotation corresponding to this deformed shape. Okay, this rotation I am taking, that is theta B. Okay. Let me complete, then I will explain. See, okay, and so there is some moment, of course, there will be some n moments in this span. It is a continuous span, like it is a continuous span. You must have studied three moment theorem. You must have drawn the moment diagram. You will find that if you have a continuous beam, there will be some negative moment, Hawking moment. So that means there is some moment. So corresponding to this, you can say this is a deformed shape of the span uh, AB, and there will be some n moments. There will be some n moments, and direction also I will explain. I am just taking this direction, okay, MAB, and this is also your moment MBA. Okay, so now we'll explain. So what we have, we started from here, we have a continuous beam. So now I am considering only this span AB to derive the relation between your n moments and slope and deflection, n moments and degree of freedom of the structure. And what are the possible degree of freedom for a beam or for a frame type of structure? What are the possible degree of freedom? We can have a translatory motion, we can have a deflection, okay, and we can have a rotation, okay. And so that is why I have considered all the possible degree of freedom for this span AB. All the possible degree of freedom I have considered like this, and this point can rotate theta A, okay. This point also can rotate theta B, okay. And this point, any I have considered only the deflection or settlement, especially exactly because here we have support is moving downward direction, so we have to call it as a settlement. So delta E is nothing but you can say it is the differential settlement, differential settlement, because this point, this support is not moving, it is keeping the original position, but this support B is moving relative to this one, okay. It is a relative displacement of support B with respect to A. Initially both are the same level, but in this deformed shape I have considered only one support is moving, because why I consider only one differential settlement, why I have considered only the relative settlement, because if we have a indeterminate structure like fixed beam, you must have studied what is the effect of differential settlement. Like if we have a fixed beam, and if suppose only one support is moving relative to other one like this, because this structure is indeterminate, okay, and this will induce some additional moments in the members. Additional moment will be induced in the members if we have relative displacement or relative settlement. Suppose both the points, okay, both the supports are settling same amount delta, then there won't be any additional moment. The additional moment will be developed only if only one support is moving or both are moving. Let us say this support is sinking 10 millimeter, this is sinking 15 millimeter, so there is a difference of 5 millimeter. Okay, in that case, if we have a differential settlement, in that case we will be having additional moment in the structure. So as a general case, I am considering all the possible displacement possible in the structure. So it can have a two rotation, and it can have one relative displacement. So only relative I have to consider. So I am keeping just 0 this one, I am moving this one delta. Some textbook will, this will be having some delta 1, this will be having some delta 2, so differential will be delta 1 minus delta 2. So if you go in that way, you will be it will be difficult to derive, okay. So that is why I am keeping this support initial position, and this one is moving, so that I can get the effect of differential relative displacement, okay. Both are displacing means it will not induce any additional moment. That is the point you have to keep in mind. Both are sinking same distance. There will be some sinking will be there, there will be some settlement of the structure, but it will not induce any extra force. Okay, so to consider the all the effect, I am taken theta A, theta B and delta like this. This is a deformed shape with all displacement theta A, theta B and relative displacement of B with respect to A takes place in the structure. And another thing is I am drawing like this. Okay, what I have done is I have drawn in this drawing, okay, all displacement, okay, all displacements are in positive sense, okay. So of course we are going to have some sign convention. So in this case I have taken all these displacement, theta A is clockwise, theta B also clockwise, accordingly I have drawn the deformed shape. And this case AB. Okay, right side support is moving downward. Okay, right side support is sinking downward in this drawing. So this is a positive sign convention. Okay, that means you are going to have some sign convention. Your sign convention will be positive rotation will be positive, positive moment, clockwise moment. Sorry, clockwise rotation will be positive, clockwise moment will be positive. That is a sign convention we are going to take because we are going to derive the equation with this direction. So this direction I will take positive. If any direction coming opposite to this clockwise, you can take it as negative. Sign convention I will discuss later. You just understand this is the all the displacement theta A, theta B and delta. All displacement are in positive sense. And what is MA, B and MPA? So these are final end moments. These are final end moments. Final end moments in the structure. Okay, final end moments. Final end moments at A and B. Okay. So we will see. So our final aim is to find out this moment. Okay, and we have to find out this MAB and MBA. That is our final. To form the equation for MAB and MBA in terms of this displacement. That is our the final objective. So this we will be doing by using 4 steps. Okay, we will take individually. There is some external load. This will induce some moment in this point A in the span B, AB, MAB. This external load, and also this rotation will induce some moment. This rotation also will induce some moment, and this displacement also will be inducing some moment. So we will use this. We will derive this equation for MAB by using by 4 steps. So first step, what you will do is it is superposition principle. Okay, instead of taking all together, which will be very complicated, I will be taking one by one. And in the first step, you just listen, and so at the end you will understand. Okay, if we have some confusion, the first step what you will do is I will just assume the ends are fixed. Okay, this is a step actually coming from the basic primary structure. We are making all the joints are fixed. This step is coming from there. Okay, so assume the ends are fixed. So what you will do, I will take this span AB and I will fix this support. That means I am making sure that this rotation at A and B are making it 0, completely fixed. Assume ends are fixed, so I will take that span AB. Okay, and I am assuming it is fixed, and then I will apply whatever is the load acting in this span. There is some load, I am going to apply the same load in the span. So then we can find out, so we will find out due to given loading. Okay, due to given loading, so due to yeah, so I fixed this, I have taken the supports are fixed, applied some load. Due to given loading, there will be some fixed and moment will be developed, right? Due to this given loading, there will be some moments at the end. Okay, fixed and moment. Okay, fixed and moment are developed. Okay, there is some moment will be developed at the fixed end, so we can find out that. So I will be taking, again I will be assuming that direction, you don't worry, direction I will be taking always clockwise. Okay, if this is the direction FEM, this is the fixed moment at A in the span B, so FEM AB I will write, and this is the fixed moment due to external loading FEM BA. So direction I am always keeping clockwise. Okay, because my sign convention is going to be I am taking everything in the positive way. Clockwise moment is I am going to take positive. Okay, so both the ends I have taken like this. That is the first step. So FEM value you can find out for a fixed beam with some loading. You can always find out the FEM value directly. That will see that you must have studied already. Okay, that is the first step. So that means I have taken these supports or joints are fixed, applied applied the external load. I find out the fixed end moment. Okay, so that is the first step. And second step, so the external load part is already over. Okay, so second step will be, actually there will be some rotation, right? In actual structure I have considered there is rotation, there is rotations at A and B, there is rotations at A and B, you have to see this is the assumed condition of your structure. So there is rotation at A and B. This is not the case. So what you will do is we'll apply rotation. Okay, apply. So we are doing actually reverse. We are applying. First I am taking there is no rotation. I am finding out the corresponding force. Then I am applying some rotation. I am trying to find out what is the force that might have caused this rotation. Okay, that is a reverse process we are going. So apply rotation and apply rotation theta A. First I will apply only rotation theta A at A in the fixed beam. Okay, in the fixed beam. Okay, so we are started from here. I got the fixed moments. Now I will take this fixed beam and I will apply rotation theta A. I will apply only rotation theta A in the fixed beam. So I can find out corresponding moments, corresponding end moments developed due to this rotation, or the moment that might have caused this rotation. So what I will do, I will take this fixed beam, okay. So now what I will do is I am going to apply rotation theta A to this support A. So I am going to rotate only one support, which is theta A. So this one I am going to rotate in clockwise direction. Everything I am taking clockwise. Okay. So I am going to rotate this support. Okay, this complete support is rotating like this. So this will be the, if we rotate this support, and this is there is no rotation, it is completely fixed. So this will be the deformed shape. It will deform something like this. So now we can recall your self-learning exercise which I have given, the effect of rotation, effect of rotation in fixed beam. What was that equation? You must remember that. Okay, you must have derived, but after the rotation means like this. This support is completely rotating, like this column and this beam both are rotating together. Okay, that is the meaning. Because this kind of rotation not possible. This is a fixed connection, so this only beam is rotating. That will happen if you have a hinge pin connection or roller support. So that kind of rotation not possible. Only possibility is the rotation, the entire support is rotating, means this column and beam together. Okay, that is why this is the position. Okay, and if this support rotate clockwise direction, what are the forces developed in the structure? This is going to rotate like this. What will be the corresponding, we have to remember the result. So this is the point A, okay, and effect of rotation, one fixed support is rotating theta A amount, and if it happens there will be fixed, this I have derived. Okay, the fixed moment at this support A will be 4 EI theta A by L. This derivation is important. Derivation you must have gone through that already. And this, if we are applying rotation at A, we will be having larger moment at that point, 4 A theta A by L, and here we will be having some lesser moment. So this one you have to remember. Anyway, this is just half of this one. Derivation you must go through this. Okay, once. This is the moment, end moment due to this rotation. If you rotate this support, you will be getting corresponding moment will be developed in the support A, 4A theta A by L, and B, 2EA theta A by L. So you can also find out the reaction. There will be some reaction. You know the moment, you can take moment about this should be 0. This is a clockwise. So to balance that, okay, you should have a downward force here. So you can solve that already. You have to see the derivation if you have doubt. Okay. So already, so this one I am giving the result. I am giving the result of all this effective rotation in their result. This is the reaction you are going to get, and here we are going to get it upward, because this downward must be balanced by upward, because there is no other external load in the structure. So total force, vertical force should be 0. So this should be equal magnitude but in the upward direction. Okay, so this one I can take. So if you rotate this support A, if you rotate this support this much length, this much angle theta A, so you will be getting the corresponding moment. Okay, corresponding moment and the ends A and B will be, you will be having this much moment of 4 EI theta A, 4 EI theta L. Okay, all must go through the derivation. Okay, you were on. Okay, after this class. So and this will be 2 EI theta A. This is the moment, end moment value corresponding to this rotation. That is your second step. So I have taken the effective loading by assuming ends are fixed, and second I applied theta A to that fixed beam, and now I am going to release the support B. I am slowly I have started from fixed beam, and now I have released support A by applying the rotation. Now I will release this, I will apply the rotation at B. That is your third step. So we are doing one by one. Okay, that is the superposition principle. The third step, what you will do? We will apply rotation theta B. Okay, apply.
Sir, please scroll the previous page.
Okay. Yeah. So here I applied rotation theta A. What is the corresponding end moment? At this, at the point of rotation, we will be having 4A theta A by L, and at other fixed end, we will be having 2A theta A by L.
Yes.
Okay, and so this slide will be given. Okay, you so write along with me, and now we are going to apply the rotation at B. Okay, we are going to, I am going to take this beam, already rotation at A, that part is done. So we will take the fixed beam and apply only rotation at B. So we take the fixed beam. Okay, take the fixed beam. So I am going to apply rotation at B, theta B, in clockwise direction. So because that is the sign convention. Okay, that is the sign convention. Everything I will be assuming clockwise. Accordingly, I will get final equation. If anything is anti-clockwise in the given problem, but you have to take a negative sign. So that part we will be seeing in numerical example. So now we will be applying a theta B like this. Rotation should be like this. That means your deformed shape of your beam should be like this. It should deform like this. Okay, this should deform. So remember, while applying rotation at B, rotation at A is 0, because effective rotation at A we have considered. Now we are not allowing B to rotate. We are not allowing A to rotate. We are not allowing only B is rotating. So there will be this much is the rotation, clockwise rotation at B. So now again we will see effective rotation. This equation. What is the case? This is your fixed beam. Okay, and now I am rotating B in the clockwise direction. So this will be the, okay, this support is rotating, entire support is rotating, not only beam, in the clockwise direction, and another this support is already fixed. So to make it fixed, moment should be in this direction, and to have this rotation, your moment should be in this direction. Okay, same thing you can see here also, because you should not confuse this direction also. Okay, so this, if it is the case, this support is rotating, to cause this rotation in this direction, I should have a moment in this that direction. Okay, and to make this rotation 0, I should have a moment in this direction. Same logic here. Here rotation should be 0, so the moment should be in this direction. Okay, and here we should get a rotation of this much clockwise, so I should get a clockwise moment there also. And wherever the rotation happening, here theta B is here, so what is the corresponding moment? That should be higher value. So corresponding moment is here theta A at that point, 4A theta A by L, and similarly here theta B and the corresponding end moment will be 4A theta B by L, and at the other end, at far end, at the other end of your fixed beam, you will be having just half. So 2EI theta C by L. This is the end moment value. You can get the corresponding reaction if you want, but finally I don't want the reaction value. Even though I wrote here this is a reaction, right now I don't want this value, because finally we are going to derive. Okay, we are going to derive the slope deflection equation, that is a terms of moment only. Okay, so corresponding moments will be here. We are going to get a value of, you can see at support A I will be getting how much? 2EI theta B by L, and what is the moment we are going to get at support B? Okay, this is support B. Moment will be 4EI. So why it is higher? Because we are rotating the joint B. Okay, we are rotating the joint B. So one final step, and the last step is, what is the remaining degree of freedom? What is the remaining displacement? So there is a settlement. Okay, there is a settlement, or there is a relative movement of support B with respect to support A in the downward direction delta. Okay, so next we will apply that downward displacement. So the next is we are applying apply a downward displacement. So apply downward displacement at B. Okay, apply downward displacement at B. Uh, So this time we are going to have only this downward displacement, only settlement. There is no rotation. So whenever you are applying theta B, there is only theta B. There is no theta A and delta. If you are applying theta A, there is only theta A. There is no theta B and delta. And whenever you are applying this delta, okay, and there is no rotation. Only this is the displacement without rotation. So that is the fourth step. Apply downward displacement at B without rotation. So again we are taking the fixed beam, right? We are taking the fixed beam. So what is the displacement we are going to have? This point is moving. This point is have a relative vertical displacement. So their deformation will be something like this. Okay, so this should be like zero rotation and like this, and this part should be straight because there is only delta. This is the only displacement we are getting in the beam, we are applying to the beam. There is no rotation, so it should be horizontal. There is no rotation at B. Rotation theta B should be 0, that is why it is also horizontal. So now we have to use this equation, effect of settlement. Okay, effect of settlement. So this also we have done. So what is the effect of the relative movement of one support? So we will be calling that settlement in the fixed beam. So this is the fixed beam. Suppose this the right side support is sinking like this. Right side support is sinking like this. So you will be getting this is the deformed shape. So we have some delta. So this point is there is no rotation at all because it is a fixed connection, fixed joint. So the moment, this relative displacement will induce some moment at support A. So that moment direction should be like this, anti-clockwise. I think because this should be 0. To make it 0, the moment direction, okay, should be in the anti-clockwise direction. Okay, and also this, to cause this downward displacement, this direction also we got from the derivation. Okay, so the direction is something like this. Okay, and what is the value of this moment we have derived? This is 6Ci delta by L square. Here what is the moment? This moment, n moment due to settlement of support. Okay, what is this moment? Both are having same magnitude actually. 6Ci delta by L square. It is in the anti-clockwise direction. Okay, so once you apply this displacement to the fixed beam, so we will be having a moment in the anti-clockwise direction. And this is 6Ei delta by L square, and also here also we are going to have same direction. Okay, 6 delta by L square. So now we have completed. We got this we got this stage, right? We got this condition. I apply theta A, theta B, delta and external load. So now to get the MAB, final end moments at A, so we can take the sum. We can take the sum of all the 4 stages. In the first stage I got some value in the clockwise direction, FEM, AB, or here some moment and here some moment and here some moment. So I can add everything. Okay, I can add everything to get the end moments. And the next step is final moment. Final moment, now I can calculate the final moment. That is the principle of superposition. We are just adding all the value. What is the final value of MAB? Okay, final value of MAB, that is, so we have to see the first step. I got FEMAB, fixed end moment. Okay, fixed end moment clockwise, so positive FEMAB plus what is in the second stage I got this value clockwise 4ei theta A by L. Okay, so 4ei theta A by L. What is the third stage? I got clockwise 2ei theta B by L plus 2ei theta B by L. And what is in the final stage? Final settlement effect, I got anti-clockwise 6a delta by L square. Okay, as per my sign convention, anticlockwise should be negative, so that should be negative, this much negative, 6a delta by L square. Okay, 6a delta, this direction you don't worry, even though in the real case it may be anticlockwise, in that case we can take a negative value in the equation. Okay, so based on this assumption, this direction, I'm just deriving the equation. This is your final equation for MAB. I can simplify this in a simple form. FMAB, fixed end moment, plus I can take a common term, okay, 2EA by L. If I take a common, it will become 2 theta A plus theta, okay, theta, I'm just using the small letter, okay, 2 theta A plus theta B minus what you will get here, 3 delta
3 delta by L.
3 delta by yes L. That is for MAB, equation for MAB. Similarly, you can write equation for MBA. So you will get FEMBA clockwise. Let us see, FEMBA clockwise plus 2A theta A by L plus 4A theta B by L also clockwise. So we can write 2EI theta A by L plus 4EI theta b by L. Okay, theta b, this theta b same, okay, small letter capital, don't get confused. And the final stage here again it is anti-clockwise, so that is 6ei, it is delta, okay, 6ei delta by, it is L square, no, it is L square, so minus 6ei delta by L square, okay, 6ei delta by L square. So this one we can simplify, FEM BA plus 2EI by L into, what is the difference, you will get the same equation, 2 theta you will get 2 theta B, because 4 is coming here, 2 theta A, 2 theta B plus theta A you will get, okay, and minus 3 delta by L. So this is your MBA. So you can say that it is my final equation, relation between your n moments MAB and the degree of freedom, rotation and deflection. So this is the first equation, and it is your second equation. Okay, and this equation 1 and equation 2. Okay, this equation 1 and 2, this 1 and 2 are, so this is nothing but your slope deflection equation. Slope this is your final equation for the slope deflection. So the relation between n moments and your slope and deflection, that is the equation. This equation 1 and 2 is known as slope deflection equation. So I will just tell the sign convention so that we can then we will wind up. Okay, then if you have in doubt you can ask. So this is your final equation, and this equation only we are going to use in the equilibrium equation. So you will be getting equation in terms of your degree of freedom, so that you will be able to solve it. So sign convention I already mentioned, but I will just write. Okay, the sign convention, this is your equation, final equation. You have to remember only this one to solve the numerical, but you go to the derivation once. Okay, and this equation along with the sign convention. Sign convention you have to remember. If you are using this equation, you must follow this sign convention. The sign convention used in the derivation or in the slope deflection method. What is the sign convention? All clockwise moments, okay, all clockwise moments are positive, all clockwise moments are positive. Okay, that means suppose if we get a beam question like this, fixed beam, and I have some UDL, okay, and you already knows that this direction there will be fixed moment should be in anti-clockwise direction, and this point fixed moment should be in clockwise direction. So that case this is anti-clockwise moment, that value, okay, you have to take it as negative. This value you have to take it as positive in the slope deflection equation. That is the meaning. Okay, all clockwise moments are positive, that already that the meaning is anti-clockwise moments are negative. Okay, opposite will be negative. And similarly for rotation, all clockwise rotations are positive. Okay, all clockwise rotations are positive. That means suppose you have a beam, there may be not maybe fixed connection, there may be some other joint, so there may be some deflection like deformation like this. So So in this case, what is your slope? At this point we have a clockwise slope, but at this joint or support we have an anti-clockwise slope. Okay, so this theta may be negative, okay, anti-clockwise, and this theta may be positive. Similarly here also this moment will be negative, this moment can be positive. All clockwise rotation you have to take positive, so that means all anti-clockwise rotation you have to take negative. And another one more thing is there in the derivation. If you see this moment we have done, rotation we have done, and another term, remaining term is your settlement, okay, relative settlement. For relative settlement, again you remember this right side, I will write and I will explain then. Right support, okay, right support sinks, right support is sinking, okay, that is positive. Okay, that means whatever we consider in the derivation, okay, that direction I am taking as positive. I consider positive moment or positive rotation, sorry, clockwise moment of clockwise rotation, that is my positive. And for settlement, what is the direction I have considered? I took this span, okay, I have considered this span, and in this span AB, my right support, that is B, right support was sinking downward direction, right support was sinking downward direction, so this delta is positive. Right support sinks downward direction, that is positive, okay, that means this should be positive, okay. And if it is the case, right support is let us assume a case like this. It is right support downward is positive, so then what should be this delta? It should be negative, right? Right support going down positive. Also you can or we can write in this way also. If you say in terms of left support, right support is going down, or you can also say that your if your left support is going down, okay, if it is the case, because in problem you will get like this. It is not compulsory, or it is not necessary like always the right support only will sink. Suppose the left support is sinking downward, then what should be this delta? This should be negative, right? I think I will just give a clarification. This is the positive sign convention, that I think no doubt. Right support going down positive, so opposite to this will be negative, right? What is opposite to this? The right support going down, we can say opposite is, exact opposite is left support is going down, that is negative. And also right support going up, that is also positive, that is also opposite to this, that is also negative. It is positive, okay. And another way is you can say in terms of left support, left support is going down negative, and if left support, if you have a deformation like this, it is going to be positive. Only you just remember this case like this, right support is sinking down, this delta is positive, okay, anything opposite, that is negative.